How you doing? Let's look at cloud consulting, and today we're going to be covering the highest paying IT jobs in the UK as of 2025, because it is December 2024. So we're going to start with systems architects. Now, little caveat before we get into it, you'll see the salaries here. They're not as high as you would be expecting if you're, say, from the US. Now, that's because apparently everyone in the US earns 100k, right? If you ask anyone online, apparently people in the UK earn 100k too, right? But a graduate role comes out at like 35 to 40, and a solid senior level position at an OK company is like 60k. So just be aware that these salaries are realistic and they're not just made up numbers that people say because apparently everybody's rich, except everybody you know. Also, jobs between Europe and the US, they can differ quite a lot in their salary, which can be a whole video on its own, but it's a bunch of reasons, which we'll not get into. But you can just note that jobs in the UK don't pay anywhere near as much as in the US. So the first couple of jobs we can see here are architects, right? Well, the first three, really. Let's, oh, spoilers. First three, systems architect, software architect, data warehouse architect. So the first two are quite similar. The third one is a little bit different. So if we see here the seniority of the roles, the reason you make so much money here is because these roles are senior roles. Because if you think about it, if you're going to architect something, if you're going to design it, you have to have years of experience to understand how it all goes together. You know, the way I like to think of it often is you get paid relative to how many people do your job. If you're the only guy doing your job, because say you're the only guy designing it, and then loads of guys implement it, you'll probably get paid more, right? Like an architect for a building versus the builders who build the building. There's only ever, you know, what's going to say one architect? I don't know. Maybe there's more, but you get the point. So, as you can see, a systems architect, it's a senior role. They design and maintain the entire IT infrastructure. So, this is the kind of job you could think you could go to if you're a cloud engineer. You can, when you've used the system enough, learned the services enough, you can become an architect, cloud architect, for example. Now, it requires years of experience and leadership skills because if you think about it, you're going to be leading a team to ensure that this architecture is looking good. Key skills: systems engineering, architecture, etc. So, the software architect side of things, it's similar, except it's the high level software design and the project teams. So instead of the underlying infrastructure that the app's on, it might be the app that they're actually architecting. So the tech stack, for example, right? And because of this, you need deep code knowledge and project leadership experience. Same thing, you could be managing teams, etc. Now, the typical projects include designing scalable systems for e-com platforms or enterprise applications. Normally, these people will start as software engineers because then they get a really good understanding of the software architecture, software landscape, and then they move up from there. Now, next up, we have a data warehouse architect. Now, you can see that this salary is a little bit lower than the others, but what they do is they build and manage large scale data storage solutions. So, one could imagine that coming out of 2025, this is going to be a popular, high demand job. Their focus here: SQL for databases, Hadoop, AWS and Azure. They're key technologies for managing, analyzing large volumes of data effectively. So you can see where a cloud is coming into this now, is because you have a large volume of data, you don't want to try and run that on-prem, you leverage the cloud. Strong analytical skills required. Right, so if we look at this next section of jobs, the first one at the top here, DevOps engineer. Now, DevOps engineers, as it says, they bridge the development and operations teams for smooth delivery. They can often also be the operations team. They're normally everything except the development team. Meaning, when you have code, right, for some application, you want to continually update that code and then you want to continually release that code out into the world, right? That's a little world. It will make it look better. There's a bit of green and a bit of blue. I'm enjoying having an iPad to draw, if you can tell. So this DevOps engineer, you can see their skills are in automation, CI/CD, so that's this process here, continuous integration, continuous deployment. So this is integration, this is a deployment. Pipelines, Docker, Kubernetes, that's containerization, which is essentially packaging your app. And so this helps with automating software updates, ensuring faster and more reliable deployments. Now this is super in demand, which means they get paid a lot. And often if you're a cloud engineer, it is the kind of next role that you could look at, because often DevOps engineers also are cloud engineers. Now next up we have this Java developer role. This is the first coding role that we've seen. DevOps engineer was the first non-leadership type of role that shows up, but it's because they just know so much stuff. Java developer, again, Java's a really complicated programming language. For example, we studied it at university. It's a really good uni. I think that's why you get taught Java, because it's a really intense language. And as you can see, it's essential in industries like finance and gaming. So a Java developer specializes in Java coding, and it remains relevant due to its platform independence, robustness, especially in enterprise applications. That's why it's in banking and stuff like that. Knowing additional languages, Python, C# can add value, but yeah, Java developer if you're wanting to make loads of money, apparently. So move over Rust. So next up, sixth on the list, we have full stack developer. Now, a full stack dev, 52.75k, right? Decent salary, especially for just a mid-level developer. Why? Because a full stack developer is like the DevOps engineer of development. They know a bit of everything, right? So as you can see, they're versatile. They work in the front end, they work in the back end. They know stuff like React, Node.js. Design knowledge helps a little bit too, so that they can ensure the front end development is good. Typical projects include web applications. This requires seamless UIs and server-side functionality. So ideal for hands-on developers. If you're the kind of guy or gal who enjoys a bit of everything, you don't have a specialty that you're into. Like for instance, if I was to move into software engineering, I don't have anywhere particular that I like. I like a bit of everything. I suppose the only thing I don't like is CSS, but so maybe not full stack. But anyway, worth looking into. Next up, product manager. So our first non-technical role. So as you can see, it is a hybrid role. It oversees software, product development, and launches. Now it can be a technical role, but it doesn't have to be. It combines technical, marketing, and management skills. So, for example, managing a new mobile app from concept to market launch, coordinating with developers and marketers. So, being that manager for the product, right? Hence the name. Great for problem solvers and collaborators who don't want to be too technical. So, next up, we have number 8, front end developer. So, as I was saying, I don't like CSS. But if I did, I could be making a 50k salary, possibly. Creating user interfaces for websites and apps, using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And you often collaborate closely with back-end developers and UX designers to ensure that there's this cohesive user experience, right? So UX, UI design, which is user experience and user interface, design knowledge is a big plus. Now, number 9, data scientist. You may be thinking this is pretty low, right? But it's true. Apparently, they get, on average, less than a front-end developer. So, gathers and studies various types of info to make predictions for a project or company. The one thing I would note here when I'm thinking of data scientists is generally data scientists, they have a master's degree, right? Because even when I was looking at data science and my interest in it, it appeared to be something where it was so far away for me to try and get into. If I wanted to get into any development role, I feel like the bar's not that far away for me because I have a computer science undergraduate degree. I then have a couple of years of industry experience and infrastructure. So this idea of then leveraging all my knowledge to move out development, it kind of, it's a plausible route. However, data scientists, it just requires so much more knowledge because data scientists aren't necessarily programmers, they are data scientists. For example, people that I know who are data scientists, yes, some of them are from tech, but some of them are from like economics, from math degrees, things like that. So do keep that in mind when you're thinking of these jobs if you try to use this to steer you where you want to go. It's just always remember where you are and where you want to go. Because You can't just decide where you want to go without recognizing who you are, where you already are, because you already have a bunch of skills. Don't, shoot yourself in the foot by chasing skills which are a million miles away. For example, if I wanted to move into data, I'm not going to try and become a data scientist, probably. It's going to be really hard. I'm going to try and look at something more adjacent. Data analytics? Maybe not. Data engineering? Maybe. Data infrastructure engineer? Like a data platform engineer? There we go. Maybe. It's a pivot, right? You need to think of that whenever you're moving into tech. Is try and leverage what you already know. So anyway, the statistical analysis, machine learning, Python, R, all that good stuff. So really, if you're doing this, statistical analysis, Python, and then go to machine learning. Data scientists help drive decision-making processes in both private and public sectors. Yeah, so they are essentially enabling decision-making within a company. Finally, we have .NET. I knew Microsoft would try and get in here somehow. So .NET was developed by Microsoft as such, right? Microsoft applications are often always in .NET. So Microsoft applications, they're normally enterprise applications. If you're interested in enterprise and interested in enterprise development, you can look into .NET and then possibly become like a .NET developer. You can see the salary here, 50k. So again, for like this entire block here, you can see that they're all like 50k. So really, you should just follow your interest because the standard market rates for things are like 40 and 50. Like that kind of thing for a mid level. And like every junior ever is like 35, although some juniors are like 40. But that type of ballpark is for almost every job you can think of in tech if you're decent at it. So just pick what you like and go with that. That's what I would say. Or what you have experience in. So anyway, create tailored software applications for companies. As I was saying, it's for enterprises essentially. Oops. Key skills, .NET Framework, C Sharp, ASP.NET, SQL Server. So these are all things that you would leverage to create these software applications for enterprises, for companies. And you have to work, as it says, on enterprise level applications, helping businesses improve efficiency and operations. So there we go. That is our highest paying IT jobs of 2025. I do hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, questions, queries, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I'll see you later. Take care.